When someone rushes your grief into meaning, it can feel less like comfort and more like being left alone with your pain. You can hear it in ordinary moments. The loss happens, and the room starts reaching for a lesson before anyone has said what hurts. The problem is not that spiritual belief can never matter. The problem is that it can arrive before grief has even been allowed to speak. If you are grieving, start with 3 moves. First, describe the loss plainly without improving the story. Second, notice what your body is doing before you explain it spiritually. Third, let meaning come after honesty, not before it. If you are trying to comfort someone, your job is simpler than most people think. Let them name what happened without interruption. Stay with the emotion that is already present, instead of upgrading it into a lesson. If a spiritual frame enters the room at all, it should arrive as companionship, not correction. You do not need to solve death for them. You need to be real, kind, and present. The mistake to watch for is not spirituality itself. The mistake is using explanation to outrun contact. If that still feels abstract, watch how the difference shows up in one ordinary loss. Imagine a man whose close friend dies unexpectedly. He keeps telling himself he should be grateful for the soul's journey and stop feeling angry. But the anger keeps coming because it is protecting shock, helplessness, and love. When he finally says, "I miss him, and I hate that he is gone," something real begins. The spiritual frame becomes more honest after that, not less. He is no longer using ideas to run from grief. He is letting truth and meaning meet in the same room. Avoid turning spiritual belief into a race to calm the room. The moment grief gets pushed to sound wise, it usually stops sounding true. Pause for one moment and say this sentence out loud without revising it. What hurts most right now is. That is often the point where real grieving finally begins. When grief is given that kind of honesty, spiritual language stops sounding like pressure and starts sounding like shelter. You do not have to become less sad in order to become more conscious. Sometimes the deeper move is simply staying present long enough for sorrow to become real contact again. If this met you in a real place, subscribe to the AEON Keys. Leave one honest sentence in the comments that begins with, "What hurts most right now is," and then go to the Grief, Death, and the Law of One playlist so the next video can meet you at the next layer of this conversation.